Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm Liane. Are you ready to ride the frequency?
Well, hello there, lady Liane. How are you doing? Why you got me laughing again?
I didn't say anything.
Never mind. Welcome,
What?
everybody.
Somebody she's got the laughies. It's like when
Oh
a
my
dog gets the zoomies. Grizzly's got the
Yeah.
laughies.
Right,
That's better
unbelievable.
than the weepies.
Isn't that the truth? How much snow did you get up there, by the way?
I didn't count, but I woke up and it was like when I was a little kid. I remember the story. My mom said it was snowing and I didn't want to take my nap. And at that time, I didn't speak much English. It was mostly French. So she puts me down. And it happened to have been snowing when I went to sleep. And then I woke up and she came to get me. And the first thing I did was point out the window and say, La neige ne veut pas faire dodo. Like, how come I have to sleep? The snow doesn't sleep. What's wrong with you? Why did you make me do that? The snow didn't have to go to sleep.
Oh,
Kids and naps, man. They don't
right.
want them.
Isn't that the truth?
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, how was your weekend? Was it good?
Oh, it was great. Did a bunch of running and everybody fighting the stores, and everybody was like, you go to get a few things, and they're like, milk and bread was out. I was like, really?
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It was crazy.
That's living out the bad dream right there.
I know, right?
You live in the bad dream in the U.S. That's what it's come
It
to,
was
I
funny.
guess.
So I ran. I was like, Mary, run, hurry, go get the toilet paper. Everybody's like, what?
Oh no! What is it, like COVID all over again? Just stock up on paper products in case you need to like start a fire, or I don't know.
Yeah,
What
I
was
know.
that?
I went to go get me some boiled peanuts, and they were even sold out.
What?
What do you mean? You don't know what boiled peanuts is?
I don't know. Listen. I don't. Are we going
Oh,
to start with
come on.
that talk again? I keep telling you, it's not that kind of.
She's looking at
You
me,
can-
Mary, like I'm crazy.
Curtis, I like your first name. It's my last name. If we
Yeah,
got
right.
married,
David knows what boiled peanuts is David's down there laughing.
I don't know. All I know is if I married Curtis and things worked different, he'd be Curtis.
Hey, Curtis hung a chicken up in a tree. No, it's a chicken you buy in the store, and Bigfoot took it at one of her Bigfoot expeditions.
Dude, we have to do the Curtis show.
Oh man, it's crazy. It is crazy. Yes, it is.
I've had there was a regression where I went back into Bigfoot stuff, and I had a very weird experience in Hawaii. I was feeling very seasick. I was on a shoot out there doing a show for French TV, and this person was very kind and just let me sort of fall back into them a little bit, for the ride home and keep my eyes closed because I was gonna boot. So, yeah, the Bigfoot remembers the chicken too. And was probably very
Hey, it was hilarious. The story is hilarious. Even Denise remembers the chicken.
Well, all I know is when I laid back into this person, they happened to be like extra puffy. So it felt like a pillow. And then they just kind of, and it was just like a really kind of sturdy but soft kind of thing. And I went off into a space. Like, and it was very Sasquatch. That's all I know. It was just I drifted into a space
what
that
the hell?
wasn't
A
there. It
plump
was
person
there.
reminds you of Sasquatch.
No, it was not that. It was the feeling that I was able to get quiet and went into a space when I was there. And because I felt, I guess, safe and very supported physically, like into a big giant cuddle.
Oh, okay.
It just felt really safe. No, not scary at all. No, I think
That's
I'm
Harry,
not
not
scared.
scary.
Well, she may have been. She was a French woman.
Oh, oui.
Oui, con Bigfoot, con carne, chicken. I ain't no chicken.
God, we're gonna get
I ain't no
booted.
chicken.
Oh.
For what? Because I said Bigfoot con carne. YouTube's
Oh my God.
problem with that too.
Unbelievable. Who knows? You know how they are.
Oh, I don't want to know how they are, but you know what? I can't believe now I'm like Alex on Next Level Soul, returning champion, David Lipton, but he brought a friend
down there. I don't know if he's shooting something with rubber bands or
what?
Yeah, watch. Look what he's doing.
Alex, what are you doing?
Sorry, my dog is in my bed, and I didn't really finish unpacking all my stuff yet. And I got a telescope back here. I'm just making sure he's not like eating any of the.
Oh, I didn't know if he was shooting rubber bands or.
Yeah, no,
this is my the leash for my dog here.
Oh, the leash.
This is Mary.
Mary, yeah, don't do that.
Yay.
Good dog, Mary. Well, so now you
guys. His dog's Mary. My Mary got off for dusk.
Hilarious.
This could get very freaking confusing. Hi, Sharon.
Mary's
Sharon's from my remote
viewing.
Like, okay, we're gonna have to get a talking stick. This is gonna be bad. Okay, so you boys, shh now, because I have to read something. Read something very important. And if you turn the color of your T-shirt, then you can just go away for a minute. Alex's bio. Dun dun dun. Dad's laughing already. Alex grew up in Mayapack. Ever go to Putnam Valley, Adams Corners, or Oregon Corners, Alex?
Well, it was a long time ago, and I don't really know the area. I only lived 18 years there, and I was driving for 2. So,
okay, well, we'll have to go on a road trip when you come to New York. Okay, so he grew up in Mayapack, New York, where he developed a passion for cinema and telling stories. After watching John Landis's production for Michael Jackson's Thriller music video and the subsequent behind-the-scenes featurette with the nature of how movies are made, he became fascinated with. Let's have the verb in the sentence. Good. Movies and the filmmaking process became a fundamental in Alex's understanding of spirituality. And at an early age, Alex was aware that reality and life itself has a, quote, behind the scenes, unquote. Yeah, it does. Okay, now it's time to shut my do not disturb. It's, really every time. Okay, so after that annoying interruption from a very not annoying person. Anyway, the behind the scenes world of real life was discovered. Later, Mr. Lipton moved to California in pursuit of a higher education and graduated from the film school in Los Angeles, Columbia College. My baby daddies. He graduated from there too, the director of Girlfriend from Hell. So I know this college. Yeah, I know this college. I mean, I lived in LA for 30 years in the business, so I know stuff.
Gotcha.
A little bit of stuff. Little bit. So Mr. Alex has a BFA in directing cinema and TV production. Growing up with the guidance of his uncle, Dr. Bruce Lipton, special guy, Alex was taught with the understanding of how our perception controls our biology, and that health and wellness is greatly influenced by our consciousness, something I keep talking about all the time, every week. Consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. Mom, do you ever stop talking about aliens and consciousness? No. So, for over a decade, it's been Alex's mission to, I can read, I'm so sorry. It's been his mission. Come on, Liane. Scroll. Dude.
Sorry for the long bio. It's the only one I had.
To help spread this message of self-empowerment using creative video production. He's guided by synchronicity and holds the subjects of ancient civilizations and lost worlds very close to his heart and spends his life helping others discover the wonders of the unknown. Fabulous thing to do because so many people need help with that.
Yes.
Having become a novice wizard of sorts, Alex is a trained facilitator in the Psych-K process, which is an energy psychology healing modality. Psych-K is a philosophy. And, dude, the scrolling. And method through which people can reprogram their subconscious beliefs in a matter of minutes. Alex is skilled with experiential knowledge of the tarot and astrology, often incorporating both into his practice of helping people remember their divinity and sovereignty as human beings. He takes great pride in serving the Creator in order to help bring healing and love to Mother Earth and all its inhabitants. We have 5 million trillion cells in our bodies, and Earth and her inhabitants are her cells. So we all need to be healthy cells and receive and transmit information in a coherent way so that our environment can have us thrive. Yeah? Good idea? You like that one, Alex?
I do like that idea. And you know what's really fun is the idea that, of course, it's fractal. We have all these trillions of cells in the body. And they say, oh, there's too many people on the planet. And there's all we got a depopulation and we're going to run out of resources. Right. How are we going to have world peace with so many people? But if you've ever been happy just for one moment in your life, that means that for trillions of cells all shared in that happiness and at cellular time, dilate time down to the cells that they're constantly dying and being reborn. One moment of happiness in your life is like 1,000 years of happiness to the cells. So there's 50 trillion. If there's like 8 billion people on the planet, it's like, okay, well, if happiness is possible for 50 trillion for 1,000 years, 8 billion.
What's a mere 8.5? Right. A mere 8.5 billion. What's the problem?
Right. Absolutely.
I get it. Well, so you two went and spent a little time with my buddy. And Alex, you're a returning, I hate to say customer, but I mean, yeah, you guys have to pay to play. You guys went to Sedona to go visit my buddy Melinda, and did you see stuff this time around? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Wow.
David was very impressed because I know you've seen this.
Yeah, he was impressed. I mean, the main reason I went out there was to bring him because I've seen it. And the funny thing is, when I first did it, it was like the build up and the suspense to seeing all sorts of UFOs. And we saw so many, even like 2 nights ago, we saw so many that by the end, it's like, okay, it's getting cold. I've seen enough UFOs. I've kind of like get over it for a second, but it's incredible. I saw countless objects in the sky.
Over 100 in 2.5 hours.
Wow. That's a lot. And what was Melinda saying? Was she talking, or were you guys all just quiet going, ooh, and ah, like at a fireworks show? Like, how does that work? How does the audience, is it participatory? Does she?
We were fortunate that we were the only 2 there. So
what?
It was like a private viewing. It was great.
Oh, how amazing. She's such a nice lady, and she's been doing this such a long time, and she has had her own experiences. Did she talk to you about any of that stuff? Not that you're here to tell her story, but like, did she tell you stuff? Or
she told us all sorts of stuff. I mean, it was kind of like a whirlwind of information and stories, not only about how to observe the sky properly and what to know, what you're looking at, but also just potentially what these things could be, where they're coming from, all sorts of stories and conjecture about maybe underground bases, some secret underground bases in the canyon.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's what it was personally. I think it was all coming from some kind of secret base on the other side of those hills, which she told us is called one of the mountains is called Secret Mountain, and then there's another one called Government Mountain.
Yeah, right, because that's not too obvious or anything.
Yeah, it's not on the nose at all.
You know, it's they tried to dumb us down, but it didn't work on all of us. It's just this one thing. Sorry to disappoint you people, but
it was amazing. It's just sitting there, and these lights with these special goggles. to see a different wavelength of light.
$2,200 a pair. That's what she told me, right? Did you
That's it.
ask her?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much what it's about that. So, Alex, you could say what they look like coming up.
Yeah, night vision got what the things look like. Yeah, so I mean, you put on the goggles, and I mean, first of all, without the goggles, you can't really see much. I mean, every now and then you're seeing something move that she said, "Oh, I think that's a satellite," but she explained that satellites are not. They don't have lights on them. They're reflecting light from the sun. So by that point in the night, anything that's glowing, it's obviously not a satellite. So what we would do is put on the goggles, and we would see what a whole bunch of military helicopters, military aircraft controlling the airspace. And then right around that, from within it, we would see these little orbs that would pop up from over the mountain, glow really bright, which you would say is powering up. And at that moment, you could take off the goggles and actually see something. You see a little amber orb floating in the distance, and then it would fade away from the naked eye. Put the goggles back on, and then we would see these things moving in formation a lot of times, like 2 or 3 moving, and then they would disappear. So they would like appear, power up, move, and then disappear constantly.
Wow. So I don't know if my daughter Jack is watching. She may or may not be. She has a job, so she doesn't always have time at 2:30 in the afternoon over there by you. But she was at a Her concert at the Hollywood Bowl. And I mean, this is going back 3, maybe 4 years now. And she said to me, because I had just sort of started paying attention a little bit to non-mainstream information on my idiot box, and had started talking to her about, like this whole alien thing. It's not fake. Like there's something's whack. And she said, well, here, let me send you a video. Look what we saw. And I told my friend Sophia, look up, and she looked, and she was like, yeah, whatever. And I thought to myself, is she fucking kidding me right now? Sorry for the French. But, right. And she's like, you see what we're looking at? And her friend was just like, yeah, whatever. So I don't know what that's about, but there's still footage on my daughter's iPhone. Maybe I can get it from her when she visits. She'll be here next Tuesday. I'm very excited.
Oh, that's pretty wicked.
But
Yeah,
all of this stuff you can't see with the naked eye.
Most of it until it powers up, and then you can
Right.
see something.
But it's faint.
Yeah, it's faint. The first time I went, actually, it was slightly. We went to the same location both times, but the first time I went, the activity was a little bit further. I guess you could say north, a little bit further up the hill, and they were a little bit closer, is what she was saying. So it was a little bit brighter, a little bit bigger, but it must have been, I don't know, 60 miles away at least, because there's a huge canyon that's over there. And if you look on Google Earth, there's nothing. It's just a big empty desert with no roads, and of course there's all this stuff floating over there.
If you're to believe what Google Earth tells you, and then what Stephen Greer tells you, and how there are other pictures of the Earth that have other things on it that have been smudged so that we don't get to see it. It's not just the poles. There are other things that we're not allowed to see. And the whole thing to me, like I've got to always get my dig in about this whole thing. First of all, I think consciousness is the commodity, and I think it's the currency that they're using, whoever they are. And I also think that anything that's going on is probably underground as well as out there. I think it's both. I think the skies are like, rest in peace, man. Paul Hellyer, the Canadian guy. Oh my God, the skies are so busy. Just like the orbs flying around. This room is not empty. There are ultra dimensionals in this space now, like they're the orbs. Like it doesn't stop just because your naked eye can't see it, and just because you don't have lizard vision, I mean, doesn't mean it's not there. And I think that when Galileo was talking about, you guys, the earth revolves around the sun. The sun doesn't revolve around the earth. And he got strung up, and God forbid, because then the whole basis by which and through which we control society, which was way less than 8 billion people at the time, is going to make them all crazy. So now we've got the same freaking thing going on all over again with quantum physics, with your uncle's work, with all this stuff, because God forbid religion or something should be challenged. And that's the way they've been controlling people, masses of people. And it's a business. And if that all gets thrown on its assets, they're toast and we're free. And they don't like that. However, like our species has to evolve, you know, and
Yes.
and the freedom of understanding who and what we are is about the only thing that will allow that. So I understand kicking and screaming, trying not to let the information out and make us all more crazy and try to kill each other instead of, you know, okay, so maybe there'll be an existential identification crisis. But at this point, it's like, you know what? So what? That's just too bad for these people who cannot change their minds. That's just too bad for them. Then they can be stuck in whatever they're stuck in. But we need to go now. And I think the train left. So, like, everybody's freaking out.
Yeah, I think we've already shifted onto that timeline. That makes a lot of sense to me. And there's one of the things that restricts our thinking as a human species at this moment is our perception of time. You know, we think time in terms of linear time, where the future's in front of us, the past is behind us, and we're moving on a straight line. Can't change the past, can't see the future, so we call it the present moment. But really, it's like a prison.
It's all right now, right? But it's one big giant present moment that seems extended to us for the purposes of coordinate points. I think that's really all it's there for. But otherwise, it doesn't really exist in the way we think it does.
In the way we think it does.
Right. You have to say that. Like Nassim Haramein and his unified field. Like, at what point does that get introduced at a kindergarten level? Like, it throws. I know you're laughing. You're laughing. At what point does your uncle's information get introduced at a kindergarten level? Or even better, into our culture, so that we can socialize our children having all the information about who they are before they step out into a place. Like
it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen right now. I mean, even biology being taught in universities, not in America at the moment, but in South America. But also just a lot more people. This is not going to be like a top-down state official thing. This is going to be percolating from the communities of people.
It's the people who have to, exactly. It's 100 monkey syndrome times 8 billion. It's the only way.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have to accept the quantum reality, because thought entanglement, right? Because we're all receptors. When enough of us start thinking these things, the receptors on everybody else are going to start getting the message. Like, it's not stoppable. It's energy and vibration and frequency based.
That's all it is.
You know, and not to minimize it, but really it's so freaking simple. We like to complicate things so much too. You know, we've become quite the intellectual materialists, but like, where does all that come from? It comes from a thought. And where is thought? Thought's in consciousness, and consciousness is the singularity. Like, for me, I don't know how you look at it, but I until something comes to change my mind, that's what I've pretty well decided.
Yeah, well, and things happen in cycles. We've been at this place before many, many times fractally, like the saying, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And we're rhyming at a point right now that has already occurred many, many times. It's just a question of how many people are willing to receive the vibration is the question. It's like we're always being posed with a question, and it's like, we're like, no. That's the default answer, no, which is fine. It's like, you know, walking around with a cup as a receiver, and it's like the great galactic energy comes by with a pitcher, be like, want some fluid in that cup? And we're like, no, I'm good. But it's like, you know what? There's that big question: is the glass half full, the glass half empty? We've been debating this conundrum for.
But those are bad questions, just like it's the chicken and the egg. They're bad questions, and they're purposely misleading questions so that you stay stupid. I'm sorry.
And the real problem is that we're dehydrated. We need to drink the water. It's not a question of whether it's full or empty. We need water so we can drink it. So
exactly.
We can be nourished.
Right. It's obfuscation at its most fabulous.
Yeah. But it's cool because I think we are on a positive shifting timeline right now. Things are starting to coalesce into a coherence. It's what the powers that be that you alluded to before, they're afraid of. And there's a lot of malicious. We can look at them as the 1% or the bad guys, the Wizard of Oz, trying to manipulate perception and everything. But really, they're just as misprogrammed as anybody. It's not an evil malevolence.
But they don't know that they don't know, or maybe they do know that they don't know but don't care. And that's
and they're
nuts.
afraid. They're afraid. They're operating from a program of fear, scarcity, greed, master slave mentality, and
we are receiving all of that very loud and clear through the mainstream messages that get thumped out. So stop thinking, stop your thoughts. Or when they happen, allow them to exist and watch them go right the other way, and then get back into the quiet. You guys rewire yourselves. Nobody's doing it for you. You've got to develop a practice yourself of doing that. It's time to stop waiting for somebody to come save you with, and information is readily available to everybody, but then you've got to take action. You can know stuff all you want and then still live in a cesspool. Right. But when are you going to get up and go clean it because you know that it needs to be cleaned because you've recognized that it's a cesspool? So when does the cleaning take, and without it being some kind of harvest out of the raw contact?
Well, we can take initiative. Then people are doing that. See, that's the best thing in terms of preparing and what do we do? How do we fix this? There's a calling to do something. There's something.
Well, we're doing something right now by talking about it out loud instead of letting these thoughts bounce around and feeling right. It's I don't need to feel right. I just need people to get on board. Yeah. The peace train here,
Well, Terrence McKenna said something really cool, that thoughts are life forms. And when you verbalize them, you're actually creating an actual hyperdimensional object in space. So that's why our thoughts can create reality. We just can't, we may not be able to see the action or the mechanism with our two eyes, but when we start to close our eyes and use our hyperdimensional vision, the third eye, the mechanism in the brain, we actually start to see that how our thoughts are creating a reality with our words. So it's important to verbalize them. That's why we call it spelling words, because it is a spell in a lot of ways.
Right. Casting. It's magic. Words do have vibration and frequency. We've talked about that before. I've spewed about that before.
Right. Absolutely. It does.
I got a good teacher, don't I?
Yeah. Our kids do teach us. They're special.
Introduce Alex to Grizzly.
Oh, Grizzly.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
I don't know what square you're looking at. Down there, that's Grizzly. Grizzly over there.
Okay.
Grizzly, that's Alex. Alex, that's
nice
Grizzly.
to meet you, Alex.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, Grizzly's been kind enough to show my nonsense every Monday for now. We're 12 times. We're at a dozen. To help slingshot me, because everybody thinks I should be doing a podcast, and I didn't know how to start it. So he shoved me off the cliff, and here we are.
That's the way to go.
Right? Flying by the seat of my sweats.
There you go.
Well, because that's what I'm wearing. If I were wearing boxers, I would have said that. And probably stood up and showed you.
She's done it before.
I twirl, but I can't twirl because I'm attached now. Now I upgraded to my podcast mic instead of my laptop mic. All right. Well, so we've got a half an hour. Alex, is there anything you want to broach subject-wise? Do you have anything to say? Because I already know what I have to say, and it's been in here, and I already know it very, very well. So I think it's your turn.
Okay. Well, there's so much to say. I mean, this is a really wonderful opportunity we have on this planet right now. And the thing is, it's all about turning inward and knowing ourselves. The more that you know yourself, the more you can really start to know your environment, because the environment we don't really get to see. We're seeing a simulation of the environment through all of the electrical impulses that are in our brain. So that's why one person can see a color green and it looks different to the other person. We agree that it's green, but they may look completely different depending on the person. So we're like inside of a little spaceship looking through holes, get it like sensors that are receiving the environment. And then we create an image of what that environment looks like. And then we all agree on that image. So the thing is, we for a long time have been defining our objective reality based on the environment, what we're seeing out there. And that's a really important step, you know, to get a sense of what's going on out there. But what we're starting to really understand is that the world out there is a reflection of what's going on in here. So if we're in this really great opportunity right now to change the world, we look out and see the world looks crazy and oh my God, we got to stop the war. We got to stop this. Everything's all messed up. It's like, yeah, well, it looks like it's messed up out there because there's something inside of us that's messed up. And we want to blame people for the cause of this. Be like, that person is to blame for all of the problems over there. And if we stop that issue and that oil company over there, that's like, yes, we have to turn our inner eye to see within and to really take responsibility for something that I think we are all are going to have to struggle with, because when we see somebody that's like really triggers you or a thing that triggers you, we have to remember that it's not out there, it's how we react that makes all the difference. And we start to take responsibility that we're all in this hologram, this consciousness matrix together. And if you really want to change the world out there, you gotta change the world within. And that is where knowledge is. Knowledge is power, but wisdom is freedom. The wisdom to how to change the way we react. It's not just about power, it's about truly being free. And so the great work that we have to do right now, which of course there's a lot of distractions to take us away from this. Look out there, look and do this and see that. It's like, no, you got to close your eyes and accept what's going on. A lot of people are afraid of the dark for a reason, or afraid of being alone for a reason, afraid of looking into the mirror. You know, talk about that misperception. We look into the mirror, we're seeing a reflection of ourselves. We have this great opportunity to reflect in such a profound way that has not been happening on this planet for a very long time. So the more that we do this inner work and release and heal and come and recognize that we don't have to do anything. We're enlightened enough as it is. We just have to have the eyes to see it. We have to have the ears to hear what's already there. And that's the best thing. I'll close with this, I think. I was asked, I was listening to a guy being asked in an interview situation, like, you're doing all this great work. What can we do to help and fix things and be an activist? What do we do? And he sat there and thought for a second, and he goes, you know what? Nothing. Maybe we've done enough. Maybe doing stuff is what led us to all these problems. So the opposite of doing is being. And it's
right.
It's not about saying one's right and one's wrong. It's just about a pole shift, recognizing first we have to be, first we have to receive. We are enlightened enough. We have the balance. Like I said in the beginning, if you've been happy for one moment in your life, even if it was just for a moment, that is the wealth of potential for healing and joy and happiness for an even greater period of time. We just need to tap into it, and we don't got to go anywhere or do anything. We just got to be the change, as they say.
It's true. But like you said, there's a lot of, I'm going to stop using the word fear. I'm going to start using the word ambivalence, I think, because I think using it propagates it in a strange way. But I feel like a lot of people are ambivalent about truly looking at themselves and don't know how to look at themselves neutrally so that they can actually identify if there's an issue that needs to be, helped along or transmuted, you know, like you said, trigger. Somebody last week was talking about how one of her friends complained all the time. And what do? I said, well, first you got to look at yourself a little bit, you know, and see why you're triggered by that. And what do you complain about? And nobody likes that response. But, you know, so after you do that, then you can play a game with your friend and tell her to find 3 things that's going right. Like, and just like you play I Spy with my little eye when you're driving, like turn it into a game. There's so many ways to gently shift without character assassinating yourself or others. Like I definitely slipped into some old behavior over the weekend because I was triggered, you know, a little bit by the lack of movement and the choice to sit idle by somebody who I care about. And it was really, it's just always really hard when you see the program running, and the ambivalence, or not even the ambivalence, like the ability to look at yourself neutrally, but then the fear of making a move.
Yeah.
Like right. I will use that F word there, because there's
okay.
definitely fear in making movement sometimes. Because if you've made bad decisions before, then what if this one's another one? Like the not trusting self. But that goes back to gerbil brain. Instead of getting quiet and right, it's
Yeah.
just a matter of allowing yourself, giving yourself permission long enough to step off the hamster wheel and get quiet. And people don't even know how to start that. I mean, counting backwards from 100 before you get up to go pee in the morning is a good way, and do that for 10 days and then back it down a little bit. And then you're doing the Silva method of trying to get yourself, or getting yourself into an alpha state. Meditators will do that and go, yeah, so what? Because you already know how to do getting into alpha state. But for people who don't know how to meditate and all this stuff, there are so many little things that you can do if you just allow yourself to do something different. It's like nothing's going to change unless you adopt a different practice, which means you have to have an open mind to allow ideas that don't necessarily go along with the ones with which you were raised. Like, I remember I felt disloyal to my mom when I didn't agree with her ideology sometimes, and I would feel guilty about straying. There was like a emotional loyalty issue or something. Like I was really messed up by that one. So I think a lot of people feel like they're betraying their family values because they were raised to this and that. But like, guess what? Those people were not informed either. So it's okay, really, to let go of stuff if it was not functional.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Learning to differentiate, understand that we are not our program. We are not our beliefs. They're like clothes that we wear. And we're living in a world where it's like we're all supposed to identify by how we look and the clothes. Well, this group wears these kinds of clothes or have these beliefs. You got
Exactly.
This religion, that religion, but we are not the beliefs. Those are
right.
the appearance, and that's part of what's going on right now is learning to differentiate when the program comes up, having an awareness. That's the most powerful moment, is to be aware of the program when it's happening. You may not have to change it right then and there, but
but just be aware of it and then notice it. And you can notice it without, again, doing some kind of like self-assassination for, I did it again. Like, so what?
Yeah.
You'll keep doing it until you notice it. Right. But see, you gotta not go through the trauma. You don't have to re-traumatize yourself, but it's like what Travis was saying. And he definitely hit the nail on the head. Hi, Travis. And thank you for joining. It's serving ego, thinking that you're self-soothing, but really you're just doing things to serve your persona and what it thinks it wants, which is really, there's no foundation to that. And then little by little by little, the choices just, snowball into, okay, well, now you don't get the girl and you're going to get a divorce, and bummer for you. Why'd you do that? Like, because you thought you wanted to feel better and you went about it all the wrong way. And now look at us all. Wonderful. So yeah, I've got some stuff. That was my TMI without being TMI, but I was totally TMI. Fun weekend for Lily. But it's okay. It's like things happen for me. It allows me to get through it. Being able to watch my triggered reaction and then watch my coherent reaction and not feel bad about any of it, because I'm learning and I'm growing too. Just leave yourself alone, literally, and do nothing. Literally.
We're always learning.
Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God. That's the good news, right? Like some people don't think that's the good news. Some people feel punished by we're always learning.
Yeah. Well, some people, it's like in school. You have a whole period of time where you get homework assignments and you get studying assignments and read these books. And at the very end, you take a test. And if you didn't do any of the work, that test could be stressful and you might fail. That's kind of where we've been at, to be perfectly honest. It's like we're always in school, but the question is, are we learning? Are we changing? Are we making improvements, even if it's little bits here and there? And that's the part we need to like relax and accept that it's okay if we make mistakes. It's okay if we're not perfect all the time. But also, let's learn how to, like they say, not try harder to solve the problem. Let's try smarter to solve the problem. So there's other ways and rituals that we can do to start to change the program. Repetition is one of the most easy and acceptable ways to change the program. So if every little time remove just a little bit of the stress in the gap between the person you were but in the program and the person you are that you want to be, if you shorten that gap a little bit each time, it gets easier and automatic, just like walking. You don't have to remember how to walk every single day most of the time. So maybe
that's it. That's what a little twisted. That's a good one. Observe, don't absorb. It's hard not to absorb what you're observing when you're not in control of your thoughts.
Yep.
And as Joe Dispenza says, when you start feeling how you think and think how you feel, oh no, that's not what he's doing. That's bad dog.
You're right. Isn't that the
Not
truth?
happening. Yeah, no, it's not. It's like poop in your own bed. It's not a good idea. Oh dear. Well, can I ask you? I don't remember, Alex, and it's okay if you don't want to say. How old are you now?
36, going on 37.
You're 36. Okay. So yeah, you've done an awful lot of stuff. You've absorbed willingly good information, and it's lovely to see somebody. I think my oldest is 36. Going to be 36 this year. Born in 1989. So you're 88?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Yep. A lot of experience and growth. Your dad has told me some stuff which he's experienced with you. How was it, since this audience, some of them actually heard David speak about going up to the Cree First Nation Sundances, and told us a little bit about some of the things that you chose to do. Do you want to speak on any of that?
Well, I can speak a little bit about it, but not much, because the thing is, just
some
like
of it is very personal and sacred and not public, right?
Yeah. It is absolutely. Yeah. It's like Fight Club. The first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, but but that's also part of a cultural tradition. What I will say is that there are these really incredible ceremonies that the First Nations people and the Native American nations, like, change the thinking from tribes, because that sounds almost primitive. These were nations. These were very solid, coherent groups of people that have ceremonies that go back very long time. And most of them have been outlawed since the 1800s. I think some of them are technically still outlawed by the United States government, which is really interesting. So there's this kind of
interesting is a nice word.
Yeah, interesting, right? But and
have a blanket.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not nice either. And then there's still a huge issue with that. So anyway, what I will say is that when you participate in these ceremonies, you have a really deep connection to nature, to what the concept of nature's God, something higher, like the creator, the thing that we don't see, that gives force and rise and foundation to what we do see. And then also community. That is one of the most important things that I really learned in this process, is the power through which community arises in coherence with nature. And I made a lot of really good friends and learned, and still learning. And what would be nice is, if these ceremonies were part of our culture, part of the whole world's culture, and if you look at all indigenous communities around the world, they all have these like rite of passage ceremonies where people basically get welcomed into the community. You, like mentioned before, standing on the cliff and jumping off, it's like that's part of the adolescence, coming into age, becoming an adult in the world. And the way it's supposed to be is you're supposed to be there, make that jump, but the community's there to catch you. Nature is there to catch you. It's done under the right conditions, setting of this community and the ritual. But what we're dealing with now in the world is the absence of these ceremonies in a lot of cases. And it's like we come to that proverbial cliff and we're jumping off. You know, that's where we feel alone. That's where our trauma begins, is feeling alone. And well, you gotta pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and it's you against the world out there. And it's just like you don't feel like you have any connection in that early upbringing.
Right. Well, that's an idea too. It's just you against the world. Like who would do that? Like, why would anybody insert that idea into a child's mind in the first place unless they wanted them to be slaves?
Yeah,
well,
most of the time it's just it's not genetics, it's in the genes, it's in the programming.
It's the repetition. They're just getting abused by the same words over and over again. Money's dirty. Like, so many things that they would say. Like that generation, your grandparents' generation, honestly, and then they didn't know any better.
It does originate with what you said. If you want to trace it back thousands of years to when did this program begin, it absolutely began from the origin of what we would call slavery, master slave mentality. And that I have a huge presentation that I'm in the process of working on. It'll be available on my website in the future, not too distant future. It's going to go and retrace our footsteps, the breadcrumb trail, like in Hansel and Gretel. Where did we start off? And it all came back to the origin of slavery and war. And it's not something that's part of our nature. It's
no, not and for what? Like for what? Who's it? I don't know. Crazy. I feel like this happened on Mars. It's happening again here. I have strange ideas. I know this is way off topic, but I was listening to some guy talk about, the iguanodon. It was starting to walk on two legs and it had opposable thumbs. So you figure if some weird thing happened where they went extinct, like who's to say iguanodons didn't go down and evolve just like the monkeys did with a little bit of like, come on, man. Of course they did. Like, but this is stuff that I know in my guts. By society standards, pothead entertainment folk. She draws aliens. She sings about hermetic principles.
Here we go.
She only got through 3 weeks of 10th grade and said, I'm out because I don't like the program. So who's listening to Lily? Like a few people, thank God. So it's just by society standards, like the people who understand this stuff. God bless you all. Let's all keep speaking it and spreading it, because otherwise we've got the STD of the century, of the galaxy, called control freak, control how we think, what we know, and all this other stuff. That just has to stop. Ça suffit, as they say en France. Ça suffit. J'en ai marre de ça. Ça ne va pas se passer comme ça. Ever don't.
Well, it's going to become common knowledge. Again, we're remembering there's a lot of evidence for this lost world, and we're not coming to a future civilization where, oh, wow, one day in the future, we'll be all in touch with nature again. It's like, it actually existed a long time ago. And it is, like they say, common sense. It's like, why is there common sense? It's not just an accident that we have common sense.
No, but sadly, like a lot of people don't. So my grandma, bless her heart, used to say, "Oh, common sense, it's the most uncommon thing." Ha 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 ha. She was right, She was not the intellect, but she knew that. But it is by nature something that we have. Just like I feel like we're a psionic species. Like there really is no reason to have conversations. I used to get so frustrated with words, because words, it's so slow. What is this words? Like, Yep. It's almost annoying. Like there's something in me that's aggravated about words still, like, which makes me feel like I have to call it a theory. Funnily that you say that, Sherry. Before I had my weird experience in my pineal gland meditation, where I was shooting down the tube, in the back of my head, I kept hearing Lyra. I'm like, what the is going on here? And then the regression, and then blue people and crystals, and like just weird things came out of my mouth, which make a lot more sense now. But yeah, you know, and that completely threw me off because I had to talk about myself, only child actress.
Well, the Lyrans, from what I hear too, is that's where a lot of the human beings that we're familiar with come from, the origin of the human species.
So how does anybody say that, like David Jacobs says hybrids are dangerous? It's like, dude, I'm gonna F-bomb again. We're all fucking hybrids.
Yep.
Shut up. Like,
yeah.
I can't. Barbara Lamb did my regression. She actually, I sent her last week's and she watched. I'm going to go back and circle back and see if she would want to be a guest because she's lovely, gentle. And her whole thing about hybrids, she has no problem with hybrids. Like maybe the higher consciousness of another culture would help cause a shift if enough of us. You're right. Like if that's the seed of humanity started in Lyra, and then the Lyran wars, and then things blew up, and then nuclear whatever. So if they're here over nuclear bases, they already know what bad shit this stuff can do, man. Like there's no mistake why they're hovering where they're hovering. Yep. You know, and the government and all these people, like, we're not sure. And even the remote viewers, like, I want to talk to a couple of those guys. I'm trying to get to Skip Atwater. A gentleman named Paul Smith called me today, and I dabble in remote viewing. And I've had some very accurate results that were almost disturbingly accurate. So, like, we're a psionic species. That's where I went back, you know? So Sirius B, Orion, The Raw Contact, Seth Speaks, Jane Roberts, all that stuff, that's not fake. That's not a marionette with nobody next to you doing it. They're coming through because they don't like they're trying to help without interfering. And the only way to do that is to literally find humans who are open enough to bifurcate and allow the information to come through. We're vessels, we're conduits. It's where music comes from. It's where the art comes from. It's where stories come from, the unified field. All of these, you know, Richard Doty, there are creatures, those are the not nice ones, and then there are beings. Like, but you know, the government takes all of them and drags them down underneath to get information out of them and technology and what. Like, it's just so messy. I wish they would just vomit up what happened, deal with the backlash, and let's move forward now and clean it up.
Yeah. Like, well, part of the thing too is identifying, like Stephen Greer talks about a lot. It's not even the government. Not even the government.
No, the government doesn't even know. It's the rogue idiots. It's these sociopaths that took the information and went and like the MJ12 guys that keep mini-skirting themselves. Like it's the same people over and over, which is why, guys, it's not Congress's fault that they don't know.
They don't know. Mostly they don't know. Some of them know stuff, but most of it is misinformation deliberately on purpose.
Right.
It's like, if there was such a grand conspiracy, then how would so many people be able to keep it secret? Well, that's because most of them don't even know about it. And it's so compartmentalized.
Right.
People that do know,
when they do, they launch themselves out of windows. Now there's a paper that's going around. And they used to call and we have to wrap this up here pretty soon. There's a paper that's going around, and I'll have to go find the talks because I watch stuff all day long. So it just turns into one big video of disclosure. Highly recommend the program, by the way. Goodbye. But the paper that said that the people who were in the know kept referring to it as, quote, the horrible truth. Somebody sold us out to something in exchange for tech, I feel like, and we get to play with it, but we don't get to control it. And they messed up. Like, they messed up. So there's something going on.
They're sorcerers. That's another thing we have to think about this. It's like The Godfather meets Harry Potter meets like the Romulans in Star Trek. It's a combination of all these things. They're not just like the smoky billionaires caring about money. We're dealing with sorcerers that use occulted principles that go back thousands of years, and they are all about the bloodlines, not just because of like the family and the money and the power, but there is actual power in the life force of these beings, and they believe a lot of the cases that
they live on loosh. Some of them, it's gross.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's really like what we're dealing with here. Is we're dealing with a secret religion.
Well, but that brings me back to when my mom was going nuts, and like you saying, we're all this and we're all that, and the iguanodon, this, that, and all that, and then thought forms. Let's just wrap it up with thought forms. My mom was so negative and so fear-based, and just so, by the end of her life, just so pissed off, you know, that she was creating these crazy ass thought forms. I was literally going to battle with alligator guy every freaking day. Like, it was not fun. It was very full. It was a very full experience, but that also is what allowed me to open my mind, watching her and her thought forms fill the space. Just like, oh my God, there's no mistake that I started Joe Dispenza, watching Gaia and all this stuff, and taking her off mainstream, like as she declined. Like there's no mistake. There's no coincidence. It was divinely timed for sure.
Yeah. We don't want to be a coincidence theorist now, do we?
No, God, no, there is no such thing. God forbid. Coincidence theorist.
Yeah.
Theorists. Conspiracy coincidence theorist. Anyway, so yeah, man, I saw a little bit of snippets to go back. I'm all over the place. You figured that out now. But the secret's out. The secret's out. She's all over the place. Your presentation, I got a little taste of that at your uncle's Zoom meeting that you guys let me sneak into. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Didn't I? Isn't that like, I was really blown away.
Oh, good. That's fantastic to hear.
I'm so excited about it. Like, you guys have no idea what this man will bring to Earthlings everywhere to help us evolve and figure it out and learn how to do nothing so that everything can happen.
Yeah.
We'll do nothing to make everything happen effectively.
Yep.
Like, it sounds like a trick. It's actually not.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty about magic. And if you look at it just from the mundane level of sleight of hand and the idea of telling a story that gets you to change your perception, there is a mechanism behind the magic. There is a reason why it works. But even if you know how it works, because I do close-up magic too, and I watch magicians do certain things, and I can see that they're doing, like, I can see the technique, I know what they're doing, but somehow still they're able to blow my mind, even though I know it's like I know what they're doing, but I don't know how it's working. So that's kind of how life works. It's like, once you understand how it works, you can start to play the game a little bit better. But if you truly get it, you'll never be unamazed. You know, there's always going to be something amazing to blow your mind with what's going on.
Well, what blows my mind the most is that we're actually the magicians and don't know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, we're all okay. Prestidigitators. My lovely little prestidigitators. Alex, where can people find you, please? And I'll put a link. I'll try to remember to, when I'm done, put a link on the YouTube.
You can go to my website, videoshaman.com. I have links to my stuff. I'm actually in the process of reformulating it. It's mostly a online resume for my videography work right now, but I'm going to be adding more of the shaman, videoshaman.com. But you can find me there. And I got a YouTube channel, Video Shaman channel. You can find links to it on my website as well. We do podcasts and all sorts of stuff there. But that's mainly the place you can check me out. I would encourage you to come and come find me.
Awesome.
I'll come find you because you're going to come talk to me again.
This is the first time. This is the first time Alex are on the same on a podcast together.
Well, isn't that nice that we allowed you in the space with us, Dad?
Thank you.
Dad?
Yeah.
Because you're a cool dad. You get to hang out with the kids.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Cool dad. He is a cool dad.
No, you know what? He is. He's a very cool dad. Like, I and your uncle's also cool. And your mom can't not be cool, because who would hang out with him if they weren't, right? Like, and Margaret.
Surrounded by a lot of cool cats out there.
I can't wait if I ever physically decide to come back to that coast again. You know, I'm going to come hit you up.
Hell yeah.
And when you come to New York, you're going to come see me, right?
Of course. When I get out there.
That's a long road trip. Mary is welcome.
I'm starting off going to Texas first. That's my first big trip coming up next month. Gonna make but New York, East Coast, gotta go to Virginia, gotta go all those places. So when I'm out there, I definitely will come see you.
All right, cool. I can't wait. Be excited.
Yay!
Yay! All right, everybody. Thank you, Grizzly, for hosting us, and thanks.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you
Grizzly.
guys for showing up, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys for stepping in real last minute like that. And
Yay.
everybody
Yeah.
out there in audience land, thank you so much for spending your linear time with us, and keep riding the frequency, y'all. Do it.
There you go.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you want? If you want.
Frequency, frequency, frequency.
I'm Liane. I'm Liane. I'm Liane. Are you ready to ride the frequency? Are you ready to ride the frequency?